So hi everyone and welcome. I'm Maureen Fitzgerald from the Long Island Herald and Richmond Live, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for today's Business First workshop presented in partnership with PSEG Long Island. We're proud to work closely with PSEG Long Island, not only on smart energy solutions like the one we're talking about today, but also through powerful local initiatives like the Long Island Choice Awards, which celebrates the hardworking business owners that make our communities stronger. Whether you're running a bakery, a barbershop, a biotech startup, energy costs and operational efficiencies are challenges we all face. And so that's why today's session is so important. We'll explore how PSEG Long Island's Business First program is helping businesses just like yours cut costs, boost performance, access exclusive energy saving rebates, all with no upfront costs or no obligation. So today you'll learn where most small businesses are losing energy and money without realizing it, what kind of rebates and incentives are available, and how to take advantage before key deadlines approach and expire, and how to schedule that free energy assessment tailored to your specific business operations. And as always, the Business First team, which you'll learn today, serves as your partner throughout it, helping with paperwork, applying for rebates, and even recommending trusted contractors. So this is a high impact opportunity to take advantage of it and take control of your utility expenses and redirect those savings where it matters most, into your business. And so we'll close also with a live Q&A. So feel free to drop questions throughout. We'll take a few in the middle of the session, and then we'll try to get to everything towards the end. So let's dive in. I'm really excited to introduce our guest speaker here, Mike Baltz, Director of Energy and Efficiency Renewables at PSEG Long Island. He's here with us today to bring decades of leadership and expertise in helping businesses navigate energy strategy. He's going to share some smart, actionable advice that can make a real difference on your bottom line. So welcome back, Mike. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Happy to be here, and good afternoon, everyone.
Yes. So in the Northeast, we're no strangers to high temperatures. It's prime summer. It took a little bit this year with a lot of rain in June, but it's definitely peak of the season now. So let's kick off with a safety moment from PSEG Long Island. Kick it off with some heat safety tips.
Sure. We always at PSEG Long Island, we always kick off every meeting with a safety message, whether it's heat safety or school safety or driving, anything that's relevant. And obviously, in the middle of July, heat is certainly an important consideration. So, just make sure that you maintain proper hydration, drink plenty of water. Don't overdo it on the exercising. I mean, it's great to be outdoors, but take some breaks, get into a shaded area. Don't stay out in the hot sun, without any liquid, refreshments, etc. And then workplace safety, of course, depending on the nature of your business, some businesses need to be out. Our line workers, for example, have to be out in the field climbing poles and doing some strenuous work. And that's important. It needs to be done. But take frequent breaks, cooling stations, and adequate hydrations. Very important. So with that, I'll kick it back to Maureen.
Yes. And be a good neighbor. Offer those kind people some water too if you're out
Yes.
there. I always feel bad for them up on the poles fixing the electrical and everything. Those are really, really helpful tips for anyone, whether you're working or, in leisure. How may all this be a little bit relative to what you all are doing with the Business First program?
Yeah, so as an electric utility supplying all of our customers on Long Island, homes as well as businesses, this is a peak time. We consider it the peak time for energy usage. People are running air conditioners, they're running swimming pools, businesses are in full operation, with the exception of schools, probably schools may be out there in the summer, but most businesses continue right along. And, we need to serve all of our customers with electricity every hour of every day of the year. So regardless whether it's hot outside or cold outside, we have to have enough capacity, enough generating capacity, enough wires and poles and transformers and all the capacity to serve our customers' needs. So by helping you save energy on your electric bill, whether it's insulating your building or putting in more efficient LED lighting or more efficient heating and cooling equipment, by reducing your consumption, you reduce your electric bill, but you also put less stress on our electric grid, meaning that we don't need to invest as much money on behalf of all of our customers to increase, wire sizes or underground cables and things of that nature, substations. It's a lot of expensive capital investment that we make here on Long Island, and it's very important that we do that, and we'll continue to invest your capital wisely. But you can do your part to help us and help yourself at the same time by reducing your electric bill and at the same time reducing the stress on the electric grid, particularly during the summer months. I mean, all year round, but especially, I hear it's going to be in the mid 90s again on Friday and then again next Tuesday. So we've had quite a hot summer, and we've been able to maintain the reliability of the electric grid, and we intend to continue to do that. But everyone can pitch in and help. And the most important reason, though, is it helps you reduce your electric bill.
Yes. And you all, in support of putting the businesses first, you have a whole collective of, a team, the business first advocates that'll help these businesses really, assess what's going on in their business. Can you tell us a little
Yes.
bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So we have business first advocates, which are basically a group of our employees that go around and they knock on doors and make phone calls. And their main mission in life is to help businesses to save money, be as efficient as possible, and answer any questions that you might have about the electric bill or the service that you're being provided. Some of the things that we offer are free energy assessments. And again, I mentioned this is free. There's no charge. Any business on Long Island, small business, large business, schools, nonprofits, anyone that has an electric account that pays, electric bill can avail themselves of this free service. You can call our toll-free number. You can talk to the Business First Advocates. They'll set you up with a free energy assessment. If you would like to do these, it doesn't take a lot of time. It's probably, depending on the size of your business, it's 1 or 2 hours of your time, maybe not even that if it's a very small business. We'll send an energy expert into your place of business to meet with you, the owner or manager of the business or someone that's knowledgeable, and they'll talk to you about how are you using energy? Where is your biggest energy user? Some customers don't necessarily know that their central air conditioning system maybe uses more than their lights or their refrigeration. If you have a business that has a lot of refrigeration equipment, our energy experts have a pretty good idea of what type of equipment uses more energy and what type of equipment can be improve the efficiency of by replacing equipment or by modifying, changing filters, weatherizing the windows and doors, preventing leaks of air infiltration during the hot summer or cold winter. You want to keep the cold air out in the winter and the hot air out in the summer. So the energy expert will identify your opportunities for savings, and they'll provide you a follow-up email with some information, some recommendations about what you can do for your business, how you can help to save energy, and they'll be your advocate to help you understand what the opportunities are.
What's the turnaround time for that report?
Probably within a week. If someone goes into
Oh, that's
your
fast.
usually 48 hours or so, the energy expert, when they go into your place of business, they'll take some notes, they'll write some things down, they'll follow up within the next 48 hours or so with a recommendation. And when they
Mhm.
make some recommendations, they'll also talk to you about rebate opportunities. We have fairly generous rebates for businesses. Overall, our company gives away over $50 million per year to both homes and businesses for upgrading your energy efficiency. So whether it's LED lighting, HVAC, refrigeration, once the energy assessment is done and you and the expert, determine what would be the best opportunity for you to save energy, they will also give you a list of contractors, or they'll point you to a website to find contractors that can do that work, and they'll let you know what the rebate would be. Oftentimes, our rebates will cover up to 70% of the cost of doing the upgrade, modifying, including the labor to install new light fixtures, for example. I will point out while I'm speaking about lighting as well, this is our last year at
Yeah.
PSEG Long Island that we're offering rebates on LED lighting. LED lighting is far more efficient than either fluorescent or incandescent light bulbs, and the program ends on December 1st. There's only about 3 or 4 months left, but if you've got some old fluorescent or incandescent bulbs, or even some what we call HID, high intensity discharge, it's an older technology like high pressure sodium, they could all be upgraded with LED lighting, and you can get some generous rebates. So turnaround time is just a couple hours of your time during the visit. Within about 48 hours, you'll get a report, and then you can follow up, or you can choose not to follow up. If you decide
Mhm.
that everything looks good, it still doesn't hurt to get the report, and you may decide that you're running a very efficient business, and maybe you've already upgraded to LED lights and the latest heating and cooling technology. Maybe there's nothing to do, but always worth kicking the tires and trying to see if there's further opportunity.
That's right. I think for business owners, when we're working with them too, time is of the essence. These are people who are working like single handedly or with small, humble teams. And so I think the fact that you say this is free just to kind of assess what's going on, what kind of opportunities they can take advantage in a quick turnaround time. I think that that's a really helpful, opportunity. And then two, it doesn't seem that it's all that too disruptive of the day to day when these business first advocates are showing up.
Yes.
Yeah, great. And you kind of already went through what you're able to do, but what are some typical outcomes? What are some that might be really familiar to someone? You mentioned the LED lighting, but maybe a
Yeah.
restaurant wants to update refrigeration. Talk us through some examples.
Sure, absolutely. So the most common one is probably LED lighting, although that one will be ending this year. That's probably the most common because everybody has to have lighting of some sort. And if it's anything more than about 5 or 10 years old, it could probably be upgraded with new LED technology. But then also you mentioned refrigeration. There's gaskets that can go around the refrigeration, even a deli or a small, a bagel store. So they have refrigeration equipment, coolers. There's small motors that can be replaced that are more efficient to keep the refrigeration running more efficiently. Maybe changing filters, putting in ceilings around the doors and the enclosures. Smart thermostats is another good one. You
Hmm.
can program these smart thermostats to automatically change the temperature setting when you close your business for the evening, and maybe you won't be opening again until 7 or 8 o'clock the next morning. No reason to keep the air conditioning blasting all night
Right.
long. You could have it go back to the normal setting a couple hours before you arrive. So smart thermostats is a great technology. I mentioned sealing drafts and insulating. Always a good opportunity. That helps in both the summer and in the winter by just keeping that hot air out in the summer and the cold air out in the winter. Maintenance of equipment like replacing filters, tuning up, equipment. Maybe your air conditioning system needs a little bit of a refrigerant charge, for example. And then natural light. You want to try to let in as much natural light within reason. You have to be careful if it's extremely hot outside, then you might want to pull the shades down to keep the hot sun out in the summer months. But most of the year, you want to let in the natural light. And if it's extremely hot and humid outside, you may want to just keep the hot sun out for a couple hours during the worst part of the day. Maybe in the late afternoon, you want to keep those shades on the west side of the building down. But all good ideas. And the energy expert that we send to your place of business, he'll be very knowledgeable and he can tailor the visit to your needs. If you have mostly concerns about your heating and air conditioning, he can talk about that. On the other hand, if you're more concerned about, maybe other types of appliances or refrigeration equipment, he can tailor it to that as well.
These are really helpful tips you have up here too, and you just ran through. I know this is for business owners, but as a homeowner, I did take advantage of the insulation rebate, like some of these rebates when we first bought our house, and I will say they were extremely helpful. And our house is definitely more efficient too. So I know that you have programs for homeowners, but this is the business owner webinar, so we'll focus on that. I want to, we're going to jump into some real success stories. These three examples are really phenomenal. Range of opportunities and experiences that you guys have given to businesses on Long Island. But first, we have a few questions, so I thought we would jump into those. One, is the Business First program available to all small businesses or only specific industries?
Every business, whether you're a nonprofit or a large manufacturer or a small business owner, anyone that has an electric account with us, we'll do a free energy assessment. I think there's a limit in terms of if you had one last year, you don't need to have another one. I think once every 2 years. But if you haven't had an assessment done of your business in the last 2 or 3 years, or if you've never had one done, everybody's eligible and no cost. We'll send someone in and they'll do a walkthrough and they'll send you a email. At the end of the visit, normally you provide your email address, and then our energy experts will send you a report and have a conversation about it before they leave. So everybody's eligible.
Amazing. And how long does it usually take to start seeing savings after making some changes?
So it really depends on what you actually install and how long it takes to install. But once the new LED lighting is in, for example, if you were to replace your LED lighting and you saved 100 watts right away on that month's bill, it may not be a lot necessarily in the first month, but once the equipment is in, the consumption of energy goes down, and therefore at the end of that month, when you get typically most businesses have a bill once a month. So at the end of that first month, you'll have a small savings. By the second month, it'll probably be a little bit larger. And then depending on if you're continuing to progress and install more energy efficient equipment. But once the equipment is in, the savings begin.
Fabulous. We like to hear it. We got a little bit of a sneak peek to the video we're going to queue up right now, but the first success story is from the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, which was an enormous undertaking for your team, but like with incredible value that came out of it. So yeah, let's play the video.
We just want to recognize Cold Spring Harbor Labs for their environmental stewardship and everything doing with energy, and you're doing your part here on campus. Because of those activities you've done, you're going to save 1.7 million kilowatt hours a year from all the lighting that you've done and the sub-metering. The sub-metering is going to allow each of your managers and others to really recognize where the energy is being used. And we're giving you a check for $279,000, which is great. But probably more importantly is every year you're going to save $300,000 year after year after year from all the work that you've already done.
Michael, what was it like to be a part of that project? I mean,
It was great.
Obviously,
Obviously, Cold Spring Harbor Labs is not your typical small business by any
right.
stretch. They're a very large employer on Long Island. It's a very important business. They do all sorts of tremendous biological research, et cetera. But nonetheless, it's an example of a customer that took the time to have, work with PSEG Long Island. Our energy experts walk through all their various buildings. They have numerous buildings. Talk to them about different opportunities. They did LED lighting. They did motor replacements, variable speed motor drives. And then one of the things they did that's a little bit unique, most businesses only have one meter and one account. But since they had so many different buildings, they installed what we call sub-metering so that each building would be able to measure how much it's using. And then the managers that are responsible for that part of the business operation would have visibility into how they're using energy. And just understanding their energy use helped them to save energy, because when you understand where you're using it, you can then recognize that, oh, maybe I don't need to leave that on from midnight to 6 a.m., that type of thing. So they save tremendous amount of energy, both from installation of equipment as well as just the transparency and education they got about the metering and where they use energy. So, not necessarily a typical business, but we did provide, $280,000, and then we did the calculations of their savings, and it's going to be about $300,000 every year, in
Wow.
ongoing savings. So we're really a great operation and a great example of a larger business. But small businesses, on a percentage basis, the dollars aren't going to be as much. But if you can save 10 or 20% of your electric bill, even for a small business, that can be very
A
meaningful.
big deal. Yeah. And as you mentioned, this is an incredible institution that's providing, research and solutions and jobs. So, I mean, I like seeing examples like this. The next one is also a big contributor to our community. You all worked with the Glen Cove School District. So tell us a little bit about this project.
Yeah, so similar, it's a large business, but in this case, it's a
Right.
school. So effectively a nonprofit governmental entity. Once again, lighting was, an important component of it, but they also installed many high efficiency motor drives. They're called variable speed drives. The motor drives on all sorts of equipment, whether it's on their printers, and these are generally small motors, but there's lots and lots of them. So they replaced lots of little motor drives as well as the lighting, and able to save a significant amount of money. The advantage in the case of a school district is every dollar that they save on the electric bill is, a dollar less that they need to collect from taxpayers for funding the schools. So whether it's a business or a nonprofit or a school, saving money on the electric bill is an important contributor to the success of their business or their school as well.
That's right. Yeah. Those budget votes, can be really big undertakings for people who live there. And so seeing examples like this of how the district is trying to take advantage of, and making their place more efficient and everything, and it puts it right back into the community. So I
Yes.
love that. We have another video of a small business, a florist, so why don't we cue that up, and then we can talk about this project.
I'm George Karatzis of James Crest Florist. Lighting is important for a flower shop, and our lighting needed an upgrade. Under PSEG Long Island's Business First program, we qualified for nearly $2,300 in rebates on more efficient and attractive LED lighting. I wouldn't have been able to afford the upgrade without these rebates. And we save money because the lights use less energy. That's a game changer.
Agree, it is a game changer, right?
Yeah. What I love about this one, first of all, it's a small business, so it shows that any small business, whether it's a florist or a nail salon or a delicatessen, anyone can participate. The other thing is, in addition to the energy savings, which in itself is very important, oftentimes they get a better quality of light and a better appearance of their business as well. So you're getting multiple benefits. You're saving money on your bill, and you're also getting a more visually appealing place for your customers to do business as well.
Right,
So,
yeah.
really getting multiple benefits by installing these new LED lights.
Yes, and it only took a couple hour assessment and a few conversations to get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. $2,300.
so
That was good. It's helpful.
yes. So I want to just acknowledge some barriers that might prevent people from participating. As we've mentioned a few times, this really doesn't take a lot of time. We're going to have some toll-free numbers and email addresses that you all use in order to set up the assessment. PSEG Long Island does most of the work for you. They're going to provide a list of contractors you can choose from, details on the savings you'll walk away with. I know a lot of people might be hesitant, like, what's in it for me? But there's a lot in it for you. So I really recommend contacting the Business First Advocates to see how it applies to you. So this was a wealth of information, really relatable. Let's go through those. How do we get started? I think these are the important details to get across today.
Sure. So it's on the screen and on the slides in front of you, but I'll just walk through a summary. Our website is always a great place to start, pscgliny.com. In this case, you can do a / commercial savings. We also have similar websites for the residential savings and other opportunities, but commercial savings is the one for this particular one. You can go online, submit an online request for a free energy assessment. You can walk through once you do that, you can walk with our energy expert. They will then discuss with you what the opportunities are. Then they'll send you a follow-up email. It doesn't take a lot of time. And then ultimately, if you decide you do want to go forward and you want to replace your lights or you want to replace your heating and cooling systems, we'll give you a list of recommended and approved contractors. Many of these are also listed on our website. And then it's up to you to choose which contractor you're comfortable working with. But we can either pay the rebate directly to you after the work is done, or in some cases, we can pay the rebate to your contractor and they can reduce the price. So you don't have to lay out the money and wait for a
Oh,
check.
that's great.
You can just get a lower net cost. So lots of opportunities in our Business First program. We're trying to help everybody out there.
And do you feel like, as a business owner, you don't have to do all of them at once. You can kind of progress through the assessment as
Right. Yeah, it's a
makes
great
sense.
point. I mean, the energy assessment, you can have it done and then you can decide. Maybe you don't want to go forward with the recommendation right now. Maybe you have other more important priorities for the next 6 months, but then you can revisit it, sometime next year. You'll have the report and you can follow up at a later time. The only guidance I would give, though, if it's LED lighting, you really need to have it done by December 1st of this
Yeah.
year. But other equipment, we're going to continue to have rebates on heat pumps and other air conditioning and other equipment into next year.
Okay, fantastic. So let's hit that next slide. I'll just recap some of the resources that we all have, and then we'll get to some questions. So energy management resources, we've got a Business First portfolio. This on the website. This includes grants, incentives, expert support. It's at pseglinyork.com/business first. You can schedule your assessment at pseglinY.com/commercial savings. And then the hotline number is 1-800-966-4818. And they even have an email address where you can contact a business first advocate right away and directly. And that's PSEGLI-business first@pseg.com for email. These are all readily available, very helpful, very easy. So thank you, Mike, for running through this. And I'd love to jump to some questions from the audience. So if you haven't already, we have a few, but if you haven't already, we encourage you to drop some comments. And yeah, let's get in there. This is something I'm very curious about. Do I need landlord approval if I lease my space to get the assessment?
So, yes, if you lease your space, then you should get your landlord approval because they own the building. You're still entitled to have the energy assessment done because it's your meter. If the meter is in your name and the electric bill
Right.
is in your name, then you're eligible for it, and it really is your responsibility and your ability to do it. I just think it's a good idea to let your landlord know if you're going to be having work done on their building, particularly not so much for the assessment because I think an assessment is just a walkthrough. But if you're going to actually change the lights or change the air conditioning, by all means, you should have your landlord get the approval. So probably not needed for the energy assessment, but yes, it would definitely be needed if you're going to do any kind of upgrade.
And if you were in a building that had like multiple tenants, multiple businesses, I'd say it would be really amazing to, like, as a collective, sign
Right.
up for an assessment, and then the advocate can go through the building, and then the landlord would actually really appreciate all of that insight too. So yeah, that could be a way to go about it. We have a question. Can you discuss ground source mini split systems? Is that something that?
Yeah, I normally consider those two different technologies, so maybe
Okay.
I'll talk about both. I guess there could be a way to combine them, but first of all, a ground source heat pump is where you drill wells into the ground, usually about 200 to 300 feet deep, and you're basically taking the ground temperature, which is about 55 degrees year round, and you're using that to cool your building in the summertime. And then in the wintertime, the heat pump can boost that ground temperature up to a higher temperature to warm your building. So ground source heat pumps is a very highly efficient technology. I would say it's the most efficient way to heat and cool a building, but it's also very expensive to install because you've got well drillers and then you have HVAC contractors also, installing the heating and cooling equipment and the pipes and everything. When it comes to mini splits, there are air source mini splits, and then there may be ground source mini splits as well. But what a mini split heat pump is basically, you've probably seen them in some businesses. It looks somewhat like a room air conditioner. It's a little bit larger, but it doesn't need a window. It goes on the wall of the building and has a pipe going to the outside. And then there's an outdoor unit that looks a lot like a regular square box, right? And air conditioning. A mini split is basically a way to put in central air conditioning and heating and cooling without putting in ductwork because the mini split blows the air directly into the space. You see a lot of these in a dentist or doctor's office in the waiting area. You'll see it up on the wall. They're usually high on the wall, up near the ceiling. They're usually white colored, with louvers on them, and they blow warm air in the winter and they blow cool air in the summer. And they're very highly efficient, very quiet, energy efficient, and we do have rebates available for installing mini split heat pumps, whether they're ground source or whether they're air source. There's still rebates available. So hopefully I answered the question, but mini split heat pumps is a great technology for a small business, and we do have some rebates available. But check our website, and when you have an energy assessment done, the energy expert can let you know because you have to make sure the make and model that you choose meets the efficiency requirements for the rebate.
That makes sense. So I imagine there's a list of a bunch of different opportunities that, could apply, and services you offer through this program.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Let's see. Are the contractors PSEG Long Island uses licensed and vetted?
Yeah, so I can't speak to every license because I'm not in the business of licensing. There's electrical licenses, there's plumbing licenses, but I can say they're all qualified. They're vetted, they're qualified. They've done. We won't put someone on a list until they've done a number of jobs and
Yeah,
satisfactory response from customers. So anyone that's on our website has been vetted, by us and by our customers to ensure that they have all the credentials. In some cases, they're certified by BPA, which is a Building Performance Association, I believe it stands for. So yes, they're all qualified. They should have all their necessary licensing. We don't actually license them, but we make sure that
right.
they're qualified for the work they're doing. Yes.
And you have a vast list of contractors that you're partnered with, but you are also able to, as you mentioned earlier, have your own contractor, look into the assessment and then, take the rebate themselves and put that into the invoice. So there are opportunities to use your own contractors, but I imagine it's a more seamless opportunity and experience when you're using the ones that already are familiar with the programs.
Yes.
Um, this is, let's see, is there a technology available to manage appliances or charging cars or devices time of use? I guess this is like your
Yeah.
smart thermostats. Tell us a little bit more about some of the
Right.
technology available.
So, time of use rates, or what we sometimes call time of day rates, are available, and most all residential homeowners on Long Island are now going to be placed on this new time of day rate. In businesses, it's an optional rate. Some businesses have time of use, some don't. But whether it's a homeowner or a business, is yes. The answer is yes. There are technologies that can be programmed into a smartphone or automated. Smart thermostats, for example, is a good example. They can be programmed to take maximum advantage of cooling and heating during times when energy prices are lower. That's also true of charging electric vehicles. If you have a Tesla or a Ford or any other manufacturer, oftentimes the vehicle itself has the software that you can program your car. So even though you plug your car in the driveway, maybe you plug it in at 5 o'clock when you get home from work, but you might not want to have it start charging until after 10 p.m. because we have a very discounted electric rate after 10 p.m. You can program it directly into the vehicle itself in many cases, or the charging device that we call it the EVSE, electric vehicle supply equipment, which might be located in your garage or outside of your place of business. You can program most all devices. I can't get specific on every device, but most all devices now have some sort of an app that you can put on your phone. And
Mhm.
like my pool pump at home is a prime example. I use my pool pump and I program it so that it does not run during the peak hours from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. when the prices are higher and the electric grid is being strained. So if I can do it on my pool pump, you can do it on vehicles, air conditioners. Yeah, most devices have apps and software that you can control the device.
So cool. And someone just asked the question I was thinking too. So does Business First still cover EV installs for small businesses? That's electrical
Yeah,
vehicle
like
charging stations and
Yeah,
installs. Yeah.
EV. So yeah, we also have some incentives for electric vehicle chargers. Um, for a business right now, level two charger. Level two is a 240-volt charger. It usually uses around 10 or 15 kilowatts. We give $5,000 rebate for each port. So if you have two ports outside of your business for two vehicles and two parking spots, you can get a $10,000 rebate from us. You need to apply, but the Business First advocates are aware of this program. You need to install qualifying, EVSE, electric vehicle supply equipment. The equipment has to qualify, but if it qualifies and it's located, outside of your place of business, it's typically a $5,000 per port incentive available. So the Business First advocates would be aware of this and they could educate you about it.
And they would point it out if they saw the
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yes.
And do you have to there was a second part to that question. Do you have to own the property in order to pursue that program?
You would need
Like,
permission if you don't own the property and you're leasing, similar to before. You would have to talk to your
yeah,
landlord, whoever owns the parking spots, for example, because you're going to have underground trench. Typically it's an
right.
underground cable, so you'd need a backhoe and digging, and you're going to need permission from your landlord to do that.
Awesome. Let's see. What else? These are fantastic questions. Is there a limit to how many rebates a business can receive?
There's no limit to my knowledge. Actually, we have a maximum of $1 million, which is very unusual that
Okay.
anyone would get to
Yeah.
that level. But other than that maximum of, there's no limit that says you can't get more than three or four or five during a single year. If you do lighting and then you later want to do air conditioning and then later want to put electric vehicle chargers, no limit. Just keep them coming.
Keep it coming. Yeah. Can I schedule the assessment for multiple locations if I have more than one storefront?
Yes. When
As
you
long as
call
they're
the
all businesses, right?
Yeah, great. When you call the toll-free number, if you have, 10, if you're a franchisee, for example, and you have 10
Yeah.
locations and you want to have them all done, they may not be all be able to done in 1 week because of the scheduling and timing. But if you have, in my example, 10 businesses, you can call and they can, come in and walk through. If they're all identical, maybe you only want to walk through three or four if they're
Mm.
identical. But if each one's a little bit different, we can send an energy expert into each one of the businesses. So yes, you can schedule one time for multiple businesses.
And how can I tell if I qualify as a small or mid-sized business under your program guidelines?
It really doesn't matter because the service is the same. So it's really semantics, whether you call yourself a small business or a medium-sized business. Um, Probably the only distinction I can think of that would actually matter is we have a different rate code. The electric rate is a little bit different
Mhm.
if you're less than, I think it's about 10 kilowatts, which is a very small number. And then if you're bigger than that, you go on a different rate code. But other than the rate that you're on your electric bill, the service that we provide for Business First is the same.
Great. And one more. Yeah, I'll let a few people trickle in if they need, but is the advocate involved through the entire process, including post-upgrade support?
They'll probably be involved to a lesser degree, but they're available. So once they hand it off and they say, you want to install a new air conditioner, let's say, and you get your contractor and you line it up and you schedule it, you may not need the business first advocate once he makes the handoff and you get it. But if you have a follow-up question, by all means, they're available. Call them, call the toll-free number, ask for the person by name if you'd like. So yeah, I would say they could be involved if they're needed even beyond the assessment. Yes.
And I've met a lot of them. They're lovely folks, so
Yeah.
don't be afraid. Don't shy away. Great, Mike. Do you have anything else I can recap? But I think you covered so much. Yeah.
Um, nothing else from me. I mean, we appreciate everything that our businesses do for us as a company. The small businesses are the backbone of our community. We really want to provide the lifeblood of, main streets, for example, and small businesses, and we
Yeah.
want to do our part to help you to save money. So no, just keep it up. Appreciate everything that you do, and we're trying to help you out as much as we can.
Awesome. There are actually one more question trickled in. This could be opportunity. Can I charge a fee for parking and a dock at my store with EV ports
Yeah, that's
or
actually a
money?
good question. We don't regulate we don't regulate the sale of the sale or the use of charging stations, right? So we regulate we provide service to a meter on a building, and that's a regulated service, and we charge certain rates for that. Once you then have a spot that has EV, you may have a credit card swipe, you may have hourly fees, you may give it away for free. I've seen businesses that say, in order to encourage people to come to your business, you can charge for free.
Mm,
We do not regulate or control once it's past the meter and you're using it for your own purpose or for your customers' purposes. It's a good question.
yeah.
You could, as far as I know, there's no restrictions against a business owner saying that it costs, $1 an hour to park in front of my store and use my charger, or $2 an hour or any other number. So no,
Mhm.
we don't control it, but I believe that it is allowed, and some businesses are charging for that, and others, as you say, are giving it away for free.
To get them in the door.
Yeah.
Very smart. So thank you again, Mike. Let's recap the big takeaways. You have free access to an expert to help. You can cut energy costs quickly and affordably with this program, and the Business First team is ready to work alongside you starting today. So we encourage you to give them a call, drop them a line. As the Long Island business owners that joined us today, we can't thank you enough for trusting us and working with us, both at the Herald in our newspapers and all the great programs we bring to life, but also PSEG Long Island. You are on the ground there with our business owners, and it wouldn't be possible without our communities and our business owners. So thank you. Thank you for joining us all today. We hope you're walking away with some valuable tips and fresh ideas to help with your money and your business. And before we close out, again, let's just give a big shout out to our partners, PSEG Long Island and Michael here today, not just for making today's webinar possible, but for also the ongoing commitment to supporting local programs and businesses like our Long Island Choice Awards. Thank you. The winner's guide is out now. You can check it out. So you can see what the top businesses are on Long Island. Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. We'll see you next time. And everyone else, have a great day.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.